some really, really awful stuff. You've got these 4 guys here, which you just AoE and kill them, and that's pretty much it. And once they're all dead, don't waste too much energy on them. Don't waste too much energy on them. Just use suppressive fire. Don't bother dotting them up. They're not going to last very long. You just kill them. Ruugar's in the background. You don't really. The enrage doesn't start until you start combat with Ruugar. So make sure no one touches them until these guys are dead, and he disappears, and then he reappears, and you kill him. All right. Now what we do for this particular phase is we split up the ops frame left and right. There's a couple of mechanics we have to look out for. The biggest one that you as a DPS have to worry about, and I'm trying to give as many sniper-oriented tips as possible. The biggest one you have to worry about really is hostage situation. Hostage situation is when he jumps to someone, grabs them, and for that 3 seconds that he's basically stunning them, any damage anyone else does will basically instantly kill them. There's a couple ways around this. It's really only classifies as non-dot damage, I guess. I don't think the weapon damage of Weakening Blast will kill them, because there's been a few situations where I've had Weakening Blast on them and it hasn't done any damage to that player that's in that. But there's also been some situations where I've hit Weakening Blast and then that person just instantly dies, and I'm not sure if it's because of the first tick of Weakening Blast, which is actually weapon damage, or which is actually ability damage, or someone else killing him. It's really hard to tell. So kind of difficult to tell with Weakening Blast. Just to be safe, just to not experiment, don't bother. I mean, you're only getting maybe 2,000 damage out of Weakening Blast while someone's in hostage situation, so that's like, don't even bother with it. Dot applications do work, however. As long as you don't tank your energy, you can just dot and you're fine. You can even roll if you're close by, but you're probably not going to be, but so it's whatever. You're just better off just not doing anything. Do not rifle shots either. If you're waiting for hostage situation at a particular time, don't rifle shot. That's terrible. There's a delay on rifle shot damage, and it's multiple ticks, so it'll do more damage to that hostage when the ticks actually hit. Lethal shot's also a tough one. Lethal shot has a delay on that damage, so if you're casting a lethal shot, even if you break it, it could still end up casting. Or if you finish the cast before hostage situation and he jumps to someone, the damage could actually hit him during hostage situation. So lethal shot is an ability you want to avoid if it's been a while since hostage situation has actually happened. But we'll go through it and we'll see what's going on. You'll see this stuff on the ground, this yellow stuff, mostly just tanks and melee DPS have to worry about it. It's just extra damage, and that's pretty much it. Mouse droids are going to come out pretty soon. When you hear nice try, mouse droids come out. Mouse droids are going to just target a person. When that person's called out, yeah, see right here, Ruugar calls nice try, death droid or mouse droids go out, looks like it hit Tefia. That person basically just walks away from the group. Some raid member usually calls that out. If you can target swap effectively, just do that and you're fine. Ruugar has a lot of damage that he puts out on the raid. You can see he threw a grenade over at 7 phase. He's got a corrosive grenade on buff snipers. He hasn't thrown it out yet, but there's another fire dot that he places on people. Most of these, I think all of them, can actually be cleansed by healers. So if healers, a really easy way for healers to maximize their HPS in this fight is actually to cleanse all that stuff, and that's covered by other videos that we have in Zors, so I'm not going to get too much into that. 2 cold rotation is optimal, in my opinion, for this fight, simply because you have less of an opportunity to fuck something up. The biggest thing with this fight is hostage situation. As long as you don't kill people, you're absolutely fine. So we'll get back into it. You see, jump to someone and just starts killing them. If you have to step forward a little bit to get in range, that's fine too. Right here, hostage situation is coming up. Usually, see, that's a cull right there. Cull just finished. That is probably when hostage situation happens. My cull is actually just about to come up, and I'm not going to cast it. I don't think I cast it, but I'm not going to cast it just in case, because if his hostage situation happens, the weapon damage from cull might just kill them outright, which is really, really, really bad. But we'll see what happens. Usually it happens after a cull, so that's when you have to be very, very careful. Yep, and there it is. So I stopped all DPS, and it was fine. You can dot up though, so don't be afraid to dot up when the hostage situation is happening. It very rarely lines up with your rotation though. I haven't seen it line it up unless you delay something or get combat res or something. It's never going to line up with your dot applications. That's the first call. It's not going to happen too much. His hit Ruugar's first call is not going to happen right there because we just had one. But you got to be very watchful of the next call that happens because it seems random. It's not on a timer at all, so you just got to be. Here's the second call, so it could happen here. You see me pause for a second. Knockback, so I just go right back into it. Now it's probably going to be the next call, so that's something I'm going to look out for. And I believe, see, I got a dot, so I believe I get the next mouse droids, which is really bad. And the mouse droids do a lot of single target damage. Here they go, pop in trench and evasion, and you take barely any damage. Now if you don't have entrench and evasion, which happens later, I think I get the next Maltroids and there's another hostage situation, so look out for that. The another mouse droid coming up, it's targeting me, so I just roll out. You can roll them if you want, and it's very useful. See, I almost die there. Very, very, very close, and it was entirely my fault. I didn't have a lot. I was in a bad position. I should have known the mouse droids were coming at me, so I should have got into the middle and just rolled the first one, but I didn't. Had a lot of health though, so I was fine. This is pretty much, you're in a really safe place here. He's pretty low. We're ahead of in rage, so we just got to make sure that no one dies in the next few pulls. This is the second call, I believe, so he could do another hostage situation. If he does another ability, then it doesn't really matter. Yep, so we're fine. We just go right back into it. It's getting close to 30%. I believe I fall back on a 2-call or 3-call rotation when he gets under 30%. There's the third call, so very high probability. Yep, there it is. Very high probability that was going to happen, so everybody stopped DPS and we were good. We go back in. Now at this point, even if we lose someone, we're probably still going to have enough DPS to actually get through it. So I think Midas actually calls out to kill Caught, just as a joke, but we still probably would have been able to burn straight through the hostage situation, just killed Caught and kept. I don't recommend that. It's also not very nice, but you don't have the risk of actually wiping at that point, really. He's at 20%. He pushes at 10, so really we only have about 500k left to burn, and we have plenty of time. We only have one hostage situation left, which I believe happens now, or not. Happens fairly quickly. But yeah, it's a very, very easy phase. Very easy phase. You really don't have to worry about much other than, what am I saying? It's not easy at all. It's actually an incredibly difficult phase. For sniper DPS, it's fairly easy. You just got to make sure that you're not casting anything during hostage situation. Hostage situation is the major factor to this fight. And you can just slash dance or do whatever you want when you push Ruugar. Doesn't really matter. He actually enraged right at the end there, so we were actually a little bit behind in DPS. I believe I was pulling I think I did 1 mil on Ruugar. The thing about Ruugar in terms of DPS, you don't really worry about DPS for Coratanni and Ruugar. It's all one fight, and it'll vary drastically depending on how far, how much time you spend. We spent a lot of time with right after Pearl, so we got a combat res ready, which we didn't end up needing anyway. But you see, my DPS is only 3,580. However, for both phases, I believe I pulled 4k on Ruugar and 4.5k on Coratanni, so DPS really doesn't matter for Coratanni and Ruugar since there's so much split up. What does matter is the pure raw damage, which I did 2.3 mil. I believe that's actually really low. If you did the math on it, I think if you were carrying your weight in that fight, you need to be sitting at around like 2.5 mil or something like that. I know for Coratanni, it's, I don't know. I'll post a link to the math on that, what your DPS needs to actually be at for those. But I know for Ruugar, you need to be doing about 1 mil of damage for Ruugar because you need to push him. You need to push 4 mil of damage roughly, or 5 mil of damage because he's at like 5.5 mil health, and between 4 DPS, and let's just say tanks do about I'm digressing really hard right now, but about a mil for Ruugars is just fine. And I think I did that for that fight. But yeah, that's pretty much Coratanni and Ruugar. It's fairly sniper friendly. It's not a very difficult fight for snipers. I don't think there are a lot of difficult fight for snipers. This one, play to your advantages. Play to entrench. Make sure you have entrench at the smart times. Evasion, very useful for mouse droids, very useful for pretty much anything in the Coratanni phase. But it's also very, very coordination heavy. You gotta get down, like especially in the first phase, you have to get down that ricochet round. The ricochet round, everything revolves around that. You could say that other mechanics are hard, but it's really only hard because of ricochet. It's only hard to, you know, cleanse your fire debuff in circles because you have yellow coming at you, or you need someone around you to get your ricochet round that's about to kill a tank, or you need to, you know, click on a console while ricochet round is going out on you. You know, there's just so many things in that fight that you have to be aware of, and it takes a lot of practice. But sorry, I didn't really get into how much you can maximize your DPS for Coratanni and Ruugar. It's mostly about survival. And that's what it is about for a lot of the fights, especially Revan, burn phase of Revan. It's all about surviving, and there's not a lot of ways you can maximize your DPS. You just have to be really good at your rotation and very situationally aware. Very, very big personal awareness checks, just like Ruugar. Ruugar, very big personal awareness check. But that's it. I'll upload just a standard video of these fights just from a sniper DPS perspective, so you can just take a look at the rotations and what I did without the annotations and voiceover and everything, so you can just take a look at everything I did, and hopefully help you out. But yeah, thanks for watching.